Hello, everyone. Today I've got three more awesome horror books for you guys to read. The kinds that'll give you all the chills, all the thrills, everything you want in a horror book. And I can't wait to tell you all about these. They're all fairly new. You'll want to read them all, trust me. And before we get started, I have horror books for sale, and you can find the ones you see on your screen at the link in the description. And if you want to join my Patreon, you get all those for free. Free horror books from other authors every month. And free short horror stories. What more do you want? So check out that link if that's something you're interested in. Because September is coming up, and let me tell you, September is going to be stacked. So I've got a lot more content coming your way really soon. All right, let's get started. All right, so the first book I want to talk about today is called Blood on Her Tongue. This one's set in the 1800s. It's kind of a historical, gothic kind of horror book. It's really creepy. It really gives you the goosebumps, man. I actually just historical horror fiction isn't really my favorite genre, but I am so glad somebody recommended this one because it is simply excellent. And it's about twin sisters. One of them got married. She's living with her wealthy husband in a big kind of mansion place. Her other sister is a companion for an old lady. She gets paid and gets room and board to just kind of hang out with this old lady and do her chores and things like that. The older sister, or the sister that got married, and her husband, when the book opens up, they find a body in their bog. This takes place in the Netherlands. They find a body in their bog when the workers were extracting the peat from the bog. They found a body that's been there for maybe hundreds and hundreds of years. It's almost unrecognizable. They don't know whether it's a man or a woman. And it's been weighted down in a certain way, face down in the bog. And Sarah, the older, or not the older because they're twins, the sister that left and got married, she kind of becomes obsessed with finding out who this body belongs to. But now she has taken a turn for the worse. She is very ill, and in 2 weeks it has really accelerated quicker than what it should. So when her other sister Lucy gets wind of this, Lucy takes a train to go find out what's happening with her twin sister. And it's worse than what she thinks when she gets there. Her sister is emaciated. She is all skin and bones, sunken face. She refuses to eat or drink anything, even though she says she's hungry and thirsty. She wants to eat and she wants to drink, but she refuses any food or any kind of liquid, which seems strange. And there's her husband and there's a doctor. They think it's because of the time period, a very misogynistic time period. They think that she's suffering from hysterics. And Sarah is terrified of going into an asylum for women stuff. You know, back then that was acceptable. And her sister, Lucy, refuses to let them do this to her. But we're going to find out as this book goes along what's going on with Sarah. And what I really liked about this book is that it's not really a possession. Not really. And it's not really a virus. Not actually. But it is something that is afflicting her sister, causing her in these 2 weeks to become like on the doors of death. And at one point, her sister Sarah actually dies. But she's not going to stay that way. That's all I'm going to say about that. That freaked me out. But when we find out exactly what's going on and why Sarah is sick and why she won't eat or drink and what she needs for sustenance, it just becomes extremely creepy. But along the way, there's a couple things that really make this book stand out. One, who really is the antagonist in here? Is this thing in Sarah, is it really a bad thing? Your feelings on that will probably change as this book goes along and as secrets are revealed and things are put into a certain light, because this thing might not even be supernatural. It could be something completely natural, but just different. Things that happen in nature, actually. And this book really focuses on a very kind of philosophical almost subject of what makes us human, what makes us us. Without a physical body, but if we still have the capacity to retain our memories, our feelings, our emotions, and everything else that makes, our likes, our dislikes, everything. If we're able to retain that without a human body, is it still us? Or are we something else? Yeah, this book gets into that and does so in a very terrifying way. Because throughout the book, your feelings are going to change for characters. There are things to be revealed in here, of course. And in the meantime, you have all this stuff that goes on during that time with gender roles and how women are subjugated to men. And it makes for a very powerful book, I thought. Yeah, this one was absolutely great. I loved it. I highly recommend it. And you can pick up your copy in the description. And next we have Something in the Walls. Oh, this one is fantastic. This one is just a fright fest from beginning to end. A good old-fashioned, extremely horrific horror story. A woman who is still grieving for the loss of her brother. Her brother died. She meets a man at a grief support group. And this man, his daughter had died. And they're still clinging on to hope that there might be something beyond life. So they can get in contact with their loved ones again. The man is a reporter. She graduated from college as a psychologist. And he tells her that he's working on a case in a very small town. And he wants her to accompany him to this town. Because it involves a teenage girl, and she's a child psychologist. This will be her first major case. And she's thrilled to do it, to get some experience under her belt, because she's trying to find a job and everything. And this teenage girl is experiencing symptoms of a haunting, or perhaps a possession, by a witch. And when they get to the town, they're going to find out that, again, things are much more worse than what was described. Even though the things they describe about her symptoms are absolutely terrifying. Wait until you read those. But yeah, she has a fireplace in her room that has holes in it from disuse. This takes place in the summer. It's very hot. There's a heat wave going on. But she claims to see eyes staring at her through these holes. She claims to hear voices. She claims that she'll see a face hanging upside down from the fireplace with a black tongue. And it's horrifying to her. And she claims, this teenage girl claims, when this thing takes her over, she has certain, she doesn't remember anything. She does certain things and has certain powers, I guess you can say. Certain abilities. And the townsfolk in this small town, we're going to find out they're very superstitious. They have hagstones hanging from their walls. They very much believe in old traditions and superstitions and lore about witches and how to protect themselves from evil forces and probably performing rituals and everything. And as we dig deeper, we're going to find out that there's more to this story than just, is this teenage girl actually being possessed by a witch, or is it's staged to the point that it looks realistic, but maybe the family is doing it for fame or money, because they're a very, very poor family. And the father seems to be, he's kind of an asshole, and he's kind of looking for a way to monetize or get some recognition for this. And he does not like these two people being in his home. What he considers basically trying to call them a liar, that this didn't happen. But beyond that, is this really happening, or is this something staged? And there are things that are going to go on that will lean toward both of those conclusions. Really, really creepy things, though. But here's the thing: this town is full of secrets, and this book reads almost like a folk horror. It's got all them good vibes. There's a certain character. I'm not going to tell you who or what they do, but there's a certain character that when his twist, his dark secret comes to light, me as a reader, I was angry at myself for liking him throughout those parts of the book where they were introduced. You know what I mean? That's how great of a job this author did, because she puts a twist in there that I did not see coming. That changed the whole course of the story, and we're going to find out just how deep these beliefs are in this small town, and what this is going to mean for this otherwise normal teenage girl who is suffering from this possession kind of by a witch, and what it wants. And the investigators are not only going to have to worry about being chased down by a supernatural entity, but also some elements, very human elements in this town who do not appreciate their interference. Let me put it that way. Yeah, this one is creepy all the way through. It is very well written, very fast paced, and it just gives you the creeps, man. It did me anyway. I absolutely love this book, and of course, I highly recommend it to you. And there is a link in the description where you can pick up your copy. And next we have, this one's coming out on the 20th, so maybe about a week and a half from when I'm making this video, but you definitely want to pre-order it. It's called Whistle. And this one has all kinds of great Stephen King vibes, like the Needful Things and things like that. This is about a guy who opens up a shop in a town, but he only sells trains, like model trains. That's the whole thing about this store. And he's willing to barter. He's willing to give great deals. He's willing to even give some of these sets away to different people if he sees that they have an interest in it. You know, when they walk in and all of a sudden they're drawn to these trains. And this is about a family, and this little boy in their home discovers in a shed he shouldn't have been in, but he discovers an old train set. And he decides to set it up. And that's when the creepy things start happening. They start hearing voices. The woman starts hearing a physical train, even though there's not a train track for miles and miles and miles. No train tracks around there, but she keeps hearing a train. And then a lot of violence, a lot of death, a lot of blood is happening in this town. And nobody puts it together with these train sets. But it seems like everybody that bought one is suffering a horrific kind of fate just by having these trains. And this woman, worried about her son because her husband died in a very tragic accident. So she wants to protect her son, but as she finds out different things about this, she might not be able to, because she is not dealing with a man who deals with trains. She is dealing with something else, something behind that facade, and it's very evil. It's very bloodthirsty, and it just does this in towns all over because it can get away with it. And yeah, you're just gonna have to read about how all that turns out. But this one did, man. It had all them good Needful Things vibes. Plus the author, you know, he put his own personal little author touches in there. It's a very effective story. It keeps you interested from beginning to end. It's absolutely terrifying. And yeah, that's all you need. I highly, highly recommend it. And as I said, you can pick up your pre-order in the description. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.